Hello, everybody. We're going to get started here. I've got Paul with me in my office, and we're getting ready to get going. I see that we've got about 11 people on the call today, so some may join as we get going. But it's time, so we're going to get started. Today we're talking about offering products based on need.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the webinar based on need from International Headquarters in Clearwater, where it is sunny and balmy, but a little cool.
So, why do our customers say no to a product, but if we offer to give it to them, they'll take it? Or, if we say things, if it were free, or when they say no, thank you, when they say they'll take it because it's free, it's because they see a low value and they really don't see a need. But if, hey, free is free, and if you're going to give it to me, I'll take it. Right? But we have other customers that come into the office and, into our F&I office, and they ask for a product that, could cost thousands of dollars. And the difference is really that they have a high value in the product and a high need. They say things like, I wouldn't think of not having it. They've used it, they see the value, and they want it again. In the first example, we offer a product that we thought might solve a perceived problem and creating some value, but it didn't. So they said no. In the second example, the customer was stating a need of theirs that had to be addressed. And we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between a problem and a need. What is a problem? A matter or a situation regarded as unwelcomed or harmful and needing to be dealt with and overcome. A need is different. A lack of something requisite, desirable, or useful. The difference between a need and a problem is a problem doesn't necessarily have to be dealt with, but a need does. So when we can create needs in F&I, we have an advantage. And it all begins, we talk about in sales, if you want to be a really good closer, start out by being a good opener. And in our process, we have the interview. And how we use the interview can really help us when it comes to closing and determining the customer's needs versus just us addressing what we perceive their problems to be. So, offering a product based on need, we can discover, that we discovered in the interview, enables us to relate the benefits of the product to the customer's life, not only right now, but in the future. And then when we're talking about a problem, we're trying to always project out into the future that there may be a problem. It's like taking, for example, VSC. The customer sees a low value and a low need because they have 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is of coverage on their limited warranty, and they just don't see they need it right away, or they don't see a problem. But when we can talk about how they felt when they had that repair, or if they've had repairs out of warranty, those types of things, now they start to move more from the problem side to the need side. So, I've got 99 problems, but not having a VSC isn't one. We've got to create in the customer's mind that they need the VSC. And how we do that is in the interview. So my question is, this is just a little quote from our friend Einstein, and he said if he had an hour to solve a problem and his life depended on it, he'd spend the first 55 minutes determining the proper questions to ask. So the questions we ask in the interview are important, and this might look familiar. This is a list.
That was me before I shaved my mustache.
Yeah. So my question to the group right now, and I'd really appreciate somebody responding, would be, why do we ask the questions we ask? Why do we ask, are you the primary driver? What's the purpose of that question, somebody?
Anyone.
Help me. You guys are killing me. I can see you're out there.
The mic's on.
Yeah.
Everybody's on. I can tell you're hooked up.
Just want to make sure that I can hear you. Could take a while. Huh. Okay. Let's see.
We'll pretend somebody answered. Why do you think they asked? Why did we ask what we asked? Because we've already been prescribed. We have kind of a list of things we think are important to them. we think might be able to model our future presentation.
We're trying to discover, how many miles do they drive a year? I want to know, when they're going to be out of warranty. Are they using their, how they drive their vehicle? Is they using it for work or pleasure? How long do you usually keep a vehicle? It gets back to a VSC. I want to determine ownership period based on mileages. What do you think of the technology? Again, it sets up the VSC, possibly key because it talks about technology and the complexity of a vehicle. Certainly, how often you get your oil changed. Once gives us some idea about maintenance. Where do you get your maintenance done? Do you have an insurance deductible, and that sets up theft, and and possibly gap. Where do you be garaging your vehicle? We're thinking, okay, if they don't keep it in a garage, then I'm going to go ahead and present. I'm going to be, I know what to do when we're talking about environmental. And, we have, the only problem I have with these types of questions are they can be answered pretty easily, usually with one word. Are you the primary driver? Yes. How many miles did you drive a year? 15,000. Using it for work or pleasure? Work. And if we don't follow up these questions, if we don't go a little deeper with these questions, it's very difficult for us to then take what we've learned in the interview and really apply it to an effective preferred option. And that's kind of where we're going here.
And this is a little bit more of an interrogation than it actually is a dialogue when you limit yourself to one or two-word answers, which is frequently what happens with these questions.
True enough, Paul. So let's take a look. Oh, I got to move my arrow here. Click on it. All right. Discovery, what we can do in that interview to make it more robust, more effective for us, and how we can set up that preferred option better. We just kind of went through this list. These questions are designed to introduce or set up some kind of an offering. And we know what they are. And there's usually about 20 questions or 25 questions that we go through every time with every customer. Now we have some different questions here. Now these questions are a little different. Now these questions are designed to build rapport and discover needs. Now you can see, how has your driving changed in the past couple of years? It invites conversation. How does your driving change on the weekends compared to during the week? I want to learn more about their lifestyle. Well, during the week, I'm driving to work. On the weekends, I've got 3 kids that I take to baseball practice on Saturdays, and on Sundays, we like to go kayaking, and I put the kayaks on the vehicle and we head out. If you could change one thing about owning a car other than having to pay for it, what would it be? I wish it would, I didn't have to maintain it. I wish I didn't have to get it washed. It'd be great if it would wash itself. Whatever. These questions get them thinking. When the customer has to think, they're going to be a little more thoughtful, and they're going to give you a good answer. Can you explain why whatever vehicle you were driving was a good fit for you? Hey, what other family members might be driving the vehicle? I want to know how that vehicle is being used, if their children or their wife's going to be using that. Now I can talk about wear and tear and different things going on with the vehicle. Describe for me your understanding of your manufacturer's warranty. It's a great question. Describe for me your understanding can be applied to about any product we have, but I love when we ask, describe for me your understanding of the manufacturer's warranty, because a lot of people don't understand the warranty. They really don't know. Describe for me your understanding of the warranty on the paint and finish of your vehicle. Describe for me your understanding on your coverage of the tires and wheels of your vehicle. It gives us more information. What prompted you to purchase a new vehicle? Not the vehicle you picked, but what prompted you to purchase a new one? And in owning a vehicle, what is most important to you? Reliability, dependability. I like the way it looks. I like the way it feels. I like the way it drives, the way it handles. Now we can take some of that information and apply it to our preferred option. What would make this the best car you ever owned? I don't know. That's a great question to ask. Paul, what would make, the car you're thinking about or the car you're driving the best car you ever owned?
It would stay clean always. It would self-maintain, and it drove like a Ferrari.
Yeah, right? Everybody's going to have a different answer, but that's a good one because now I'm really zeroing in on what's important to them, and I'm getting closer to their needs. What needs to be handled, what I can really focus on in that preferred option. Hey, what's your favorite feature on your new vehicle, Paul, and why is it your favorite feature?
It's the radio because it has just an unbelievably great sound.
Really?
Yep.
So music, you like to listen to a lot of music?
Exactly, I do. I like to listen to music. I'm on the road quite a bit. And, we talk about, and people have been around me have heard me say before, you have to recreate the pain in order to get the gain. And so we're getting information that will allow us then to put things in front of the customer that will help them maybe feel a little bit of mental pain about a situation and be able to address a need as they see it rather than something other than that's not as solidified in their mind.
So now if we're going through that interview process, we're making it less like an interrogation. We're starting to have a conversation. We're building rapport and discovering needs by asking a little bit more open-ended conversational questions. Now we can get into some of those, what I like to call one better question. And those are, they really get good. Customer, we say, tell me the one thing about, owning a vehicle that if you could change one thing about owning a vehicle, what would it be? Paul, if you could change one thing about owning a vehicle, what would it be?
I wouldn't have to maintain it.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Tell me a little bit more about that. Why did you pick that?
Well, it's inconvenient. It just seems like, I'm really busy the times when the maintenance comes up, and it's just difficult to get into the dealership, drop it off, do all the stuff I need to do.
So just in that little interaction, what I uncovered is time is important to them, convenience is important to them. So I can use those words and use that in my preferred option when I'm describing the products and the benefits of those products to Paul. So, tell me more about it. Why is that? Hey, why did you say this or why did you do that? Explain how. Is there any other? What made you? How did you feel when? How did you feel when is a great one, because anytime we can attach an emotional connection to a product or the consequences of not having it, that's a powerful thing, and that creates a need. In the example we just talked about, Paul's talked about convenience and time. So when I'm talking about these products, I can use convenience and time because I know it's something that's important to him. Hey, what's the one thing? What's the one thing about this that is important? What's the one thing? It narrows their thinking and makes them focus on one specific item. How many other vehicles do you have? Why is that a good question? I don't know. If I get a customer that's interested in paint and fabric, for instance, or paintless dent removal, and they decide to take it, it'd be great to know that they have 4 vehicles in their family. Because I might just say, hey, earlier when we were talking about it in the interview, you had mentioned that you had 4 vehicles in your family. If you see the value of the paint and fabric on your new blank, wouldn't it make sense to cover some of the other vehicles in your family? By the way, it makes a great gift.
Heck yeah.
Right?
For birthday or other.
So it's just these one better questions, dig a little deeper in the interview and give you a little more information.
One of the other things that they do for you is help you determine whether the person sitting in front of you is more visual, more auditory, or more kinesthetic, so that you can kind of shift your presentation in that direction. If you're doing an auditory presentation to a visual, you're not cueing them in. You're not getting all the bang for your buck that you can get. And we'll talk about that in a future webinar a little bit further, or in future sessions. But it is something that you can, and you can do it. Most good salespeople do it unconsciously, but you can do it consciously and bring them down your road a lot more effectively.
And it's really funny, in determining that, people give you clues by what they say. Believe it or not, people that are auditory will say things like, I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
They give you that tip, or they may see, they'll say things like, you say something that they understand, and they say things like, I see. That really, I know it sounds funny, but it actually gives you a tip.
Mm-hmm.
So another webinar, but good information. And this is a busy slide, that's why I kind of split it up. But I want you to take a look and look at the questions that we normally ask on the left side of the screen versus the questions we talked about on the right side of the screen. And you can see there's some differences. On the left side, they're yes and no, one-word answer and closed-ended. We have a tendency to ask those questions in rapid fire. And if we're not separating them by a little conversation or a little better questions, customers can say things to us like, why are you asking me these questions? What's going on here,
We have ways of making you talk.
Right, but where we're doing all open-ended, or we throw some open-ended questions in there, it becomes more of a conversation, and it helps us be more effective in setting up the preferred option. And don't forget one better question. Those really go a long way to developing rapport and help you in needs discovery to find out what their needs are versus what we think their perceived problems are. So, let's review. Some directed small talk can make a big difference in your product enrollment. You know, people, when they see a need, they want it. Then the next good thing is the next time they come in, it's one of those things that they ask for. So, to create that more credible, effective preferred option, use those open-ended questions we were just talking about. And those one better questions. Helping the customer visualize how the product will make their life better creates value and satisfies a need. So if I find out that a customer uses their vehicle on the weekends to haul kids around to games and things like that, you know, I can say, you know, I'm a little surprised, Mr. and Mrs. Customer. You know, you picked the paintless dent removal, but earlier you talked about how you use the kids on the weekend to get in and out of your car at baseball practice. I'm sure there are equipment and dirts getting in and out, and it probably has taken its toll on your vehicle in the past. And with this product, like I said earlier, it'll help maintain the vehicle because that dirt and those types of things will be less likely to stay in the vehicle and a lot easier to keep clean. And if you pair that, you see where I'm going with this, guys and women, it makes a difference. Whenever we can take a product and relate it to the customer's life, we're starting to create a need. And, you know, it also gives you a lot of credibility. And then, by the way, don't forget to ask them to buy. We're doing a boot camp right now, and one of the things that I talk about is every time we overcome a customer concern, don't forget to ask them to go ahead and buy the product. We let that hang out there a little bit. Doesn't that make sense? I just need your approval right here.
One of the biggest follow-up companies that follows up sales of various types, automotive and otherwise, one of the things when they follow up customers that left and did not purchase, they find that one of the big reasons that the customer said they did not purchase was because the salesperson did not ask. It's kind of the old adage, you know, ABC, always be closing. Maybe that's not what you want to do, but you certainly want to make sure you ask for the business the right way before the customer gets away from you or before you miss your opportunity. And sometimes those opportunities only come along the road once, and so you have the opportunity to execute if you just are paying attention and you see the sign when it's in your windshield.
Good point, Paul. So let's get on there. Let's wrap it up. Some of the steps to success in creating, offering products based on need certainly starts. We got to begin with the end in mind. When we're talking to a customer in the interview, that's really our opportunity. That's when we have the highest opportunity to learn what we need to learn to set up that preferred option in the best possible light. It's where we're going to be able to connect specifics about that customer's life to the products that we're offering and the benefits of those products. So spending the time up front, you know, we tell customers the reason I'm doing this is because I want to save you time. So if you can spend a little time up front, we can save time in the back. Well, guess what? It also helps you save time when you're closing on these products. So we want to begin with the end in mind. We want to do a thorough and have a conversational interview. Add some of those open-ended questions. If you don't like those, think of some of your own. But get the customer talking, and we want to find out how they're going to use the vehicle, what their lifestyle is like, what they're doing, and how they use the vehicle. Then we want to have our preferred option that is based on their needs and their life. When we can set up that preferred option that way, it gives us an advantage because now we're talking about the reason that I can defend every product on there based on something that I discovered. So instead of just saying, well, I've adjusted your service contract down to a 5-year, 75,000 mile, I can say, based on the driving habits that you told me, you know, we talked earlier that you think you're going to be driving a little bit less than you were in the past. So I've geared this down to a 5-year, 75,000 mile VSC so that you're not paying for something you're not going to use. Also,
so it could save you some money.
Yes. Also, I've included the paint and fabric protection. and we can give a reason why we're putting that preferred option together. And it gives us,
because your kids just destroyed my office, so you obviously need it.
right. But you know what? That's the important part. That's the key, is to be able to do that. And then I gotta click. And then if we do, it's a much more consultative close, and it leads to multiple products. So that's kind of it, guys and ladies. And if anybody has any questions, I can see that your mics are open. If anybody has any comments or questions, now would be a great time to ask.
Somebody speak and let us know that your microphone is indeed working. Spiro, you're not on. What's up with that?
No. Anyway, it's always good to know that somebody's listening.
Is anybody out there?
All right. Well, if
Ground control to Major Tom.
If there are no questions, we appreciate everybody joining today.
Yeah, thanks very much for attending the webinar. Hopefully you got some tips out of it that you can turn into cash during your next delivery or one very soon.
If anybody wants a copy of it or a transcript, don't feel free. Just email me at jtaber@udsdealerservices.com, and I can send you the presentation.